And once again, welcome to the Fast Show. Well, this is where we have politics versus lifestyle. Where do you find that? Only on STV. See, here's the thing about the Fast Show for you who has just joined us today and had not joined us for the rest of the other weeks that we had the Fast Show. Of course, Fast Show is almost making a year. Woohoo! We're celebrating a year on the Fast Show very soon, and you never know, we'll be cutting a cake on the Fast Show and we'll be celebrating it with you. Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Latifa Hamid, and I'm usually on this show almost all the time. I never miss. You'll see my face all the time on the show, and we're discussing a number of issues from what you ought to do to make your life better. See, when we come here and we're talking about things that you ought to do, we're also talking to ourselves about things that we ought to do. Now, I don't do this show alone. I'm always with
Adams Mayambala. A very good morning to you, Latifa, and to the viewers. It is a cold morning, but you need to wake up and, chase that dream of yours, go to work, and you need to be persistent in life. You need to be persistent. Life has ups and downs. It has, a lot of mountains, a lot of, everything that comes with it. And, you need to be persistent in life.
Definitely. Persistency is the key to everything that you do. Now, here's the thing. I was going through a session yesterday, a training session, and I think everybody should go through an affirmation session because that is what I learned from my training. Now, an affirmation session is where you tell yourselves your strengths. Now, don't lie to yourself when you're affirming things in your life. Now, when you wake up every morning or before you go to sleep, affirm things to yourself. So tell yourself, I'm very hardworking. Tell yourself, I'm an achiever. Tell yourself, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Affirm things to yourself. And the moment you tell yourselves affirmations, they come true because you believe in what you're saying. See, they say belief can move mountains, belief can make you better than what you think you are, Adam. The thing about affirmations is about knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So you're doing a SWOT analysis on yourself. So I'm Latifa Hamid. What is SWOT analysis? SWOT analysis is what are my strengths? Okay? That's SWOT. What are my weaknesses? Okay? What are my threats? What are my, who are the competitions in my life? So the SWOT analysis is really important as you sit there and you're working with yourself. So SWOT is S-W-O-T, SWOT. That's strength, weaknesses. What does O mean?
I don't really know what O means.
And then threats is, T is threats. So you do a SWOT analysis on yourself and say, as Latifa Hamid, my strengths are, 1, I can speak. 2, my English is understandable. Okay? 3, what other thing is my strength? I have confidence. Those are strengths. What are my weaknesses? I'm very impatient. What are my other weaknesses? I talk too fast. What are my other weaknesses? I'm lazy. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
And then just examples?
Yeah. Yes, they're just examples. And once you know your weaknesses, then you work on them to make them better. And once you know your strengths, you make your strengths better. And once you realize who you are and what you're passionate about, then your journey to success has started. It's not going to happen straight away, but hey, one step at a time. Consistency. To be good at something, it takes you over 10 years to be absolutely good at something to the point that you make minimal mistakes, because there's never a time where you'll be perfect in your life. So take that one step at a time and you'll get to where you want to go. Adam.
And Latifa, in life at times you need to be, just like you've said, patience. You need to be humble at times. A lot of things pass us because we are not humble enough. And we have that kind of ego, where we come from, what the kind of work we do and all that. But sometimes you don't need to make reactions at everything that you see. We do make a lot of reactions, and we behave like politicians do behave. There's a story I heard someday. It was about, I'm sure I've heard it before. It was about a kid. This kid now got a complication or a problem, and the kid was rushed to a hospital. And along the way, you know how ambulances drive, that kind of rush, the speed and the sirens and what, and compared to the jam that happens in Kampala and what. So this ambulance made an accident. So the accident, the man came out and said, you guys, I need my car to get repaired. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're the ambulance, you have the right of way, but this is my car, so who's going to compensate me? So, they took some time trying to negotiate. they were telling the man, we have a very sick boy, we need to take the boy to the hospital to save his life. The man was like, please,
I don't care.
This is Uganda, you know how things are tough? I need, this is a new car. This is my only life. I have invested my money in this car, so I need my car when it is well. So you have to get away from here when you've told me what's the fate of my car. Where's the money going to come from? So what happened? After some time, probably they got to a conclusion and the ambulance went. But unfortunately, the boy didn't make it. On reaching to the hospital, the boy didn't make it. And then the man was also rushing home to find the kid because they called him and the kid was not well. You understand? So what happened, the man had to go to hospital because he was late. The kid was already taken. When this man reached the hospital, the same kid was his kid. So the same man, the dad, is the one who delayed the son, and then the son lost his life. You understand that kind of scenario?
That's a good story. It gives a moral too.
So because he reacted so much, and he had to go somewhere, he was pissed, he was stressed, his son is so sick, but then along the way he stressed some other people, and the people were taking the son. He did not know.
I want to go to the story that you're talking about. It reminds me of the other story where the kid had the keys to the dad's car, and the dad had the kid scratching his car. And then he came out and he was bitter and he beat the kid up. But then later, he came to find out that the kid had written, "I love you," behind the car. And without knowing what message the kid had written, without knowing what the kid was doing, he actually got furious and reacted. So you're right, reacting is not the right way. It's like a snake. You're moving and someone walks and then you bite them, but you don't know that this person that you're biting was actually trying to help you get away from a trap. So with a snake or wild animal, even when you're trying to give them help, they bite you because they don't know that you are giving them help, and yet you are. So you let them be because you're scared of them, and then they die in their pain. So don't be like a lion, don't be like a snake, but be like a human being who reflects upon things. See, when you're treating someone else in a rush, a cruel way, I need you to understand that that person could be the one who will help you the very next day. He could be your boss the very next day. He could be the person who helped you get that one drop of water that you needed in a desert. So you need to be kind to everybody, and besides, you don't know what people are going through in their lives. People are going through too many things.
Yes.
And because they smile, you're thinking everybody is okay, but deep inside there's a world of chaos. Deep inside there's a volcano that is waiting to erupt, and you never know that that smile that you put on your face is what will make their day better. So regardless of how stressed you are, do not let out your anger on other people. Know how to control your emotions.
Yes.
And know that other people also are angry at life, at the disadvantages in life, but they know how to control themselves. And that is the lesson that me and Adam have for you today, definitely. And you need to ensure that regardless of what happens in your life, you have patience, you reflect before you react, and you listen more than you speak. A very good morning once again. We'll start off, of course, with the first show on the political discussion. Now, yesterday, a number of political parties showed an intention of joining the speakership race. This will be the first time in history that we have more than just NRM participating in the speakership position. Now, the DP has come up to say they're bringing in their candidate for the speakership position. The FDC have officially confirmed, because Uganda had come in, but the FDC said they have officially confirmed that they will be presenting their candidate. We don't know whether it will be Uganda that they will be confirming, or they will be bringing another person. And then NUP, now that is a surprising part, Adam. NUP has also communicated that it is launching its own candidate for the speakership race. Yet, when Rebecca Kadagga was launching her speakership bid in resorts, a number of NUP candidates, 5 to be precise, said they would be supporting Rebecca Kadagga, and the name of Joel Senyonyi also came out in that bid. However, yesterday they had a meeting, and they said during that meeting that they were going to pick their own candidate.
That's what I was saying, Latifa. These people, probably they just attended the Kadagga, which was launching her bid. But I think because Kadagga is the Speaker of Parliament, they, she's their friend and they had to be there. But I didn't really think they are deciding as a party. So, you know, it comes now, they are going to sit, they said probably next week, and then decide on who is going to be speaker, who they are going to, you know, vote. So they are taking it to a line of party. So we as the NUP, we are going to talk to our members of parliament, and then we see who we are going to side with. And then the FDC still, that's what they are saying. So we don't know if it is, but of course Semujonganda is their candidate, though we don't know if actually the party is who they are going to side with, or they are going to bring someone else. But he stood up and said, I'm going to be speaker, and I'm going to, you know, stand with these people, against these people, Kadagga and Olanya. And the NUP, so boom, that is what is happening.
Well, I think Semujonganda opened the eyes of a lot of people. Before Semujonganda came out, we didn't see any other political party that came up to say they will be vying in the speakership position. But as soon as Semujonganda came up, DP brought out the deputy speaker, and they said they would be filling that position. And now we are seeing NUP coming up. However, Semujonganda came to say he's going to be speaker without the party's endorsement, because we didn't hear FDC backing up his speakership position, his speakership bid. But now FDC has finally come up to say they are going to support his speakership bid. Now we know that Rebecca Kadagga has been in this parliament for 10 years, just like Sekandi before he became the vice president. And Yoweri Kaguta Museveni met the two people, Jacob Olanya and Speaker Rebecca Kadagga, yesterday. Ofolo Opondo said that Rebecca Kadagga is putting NRM on a gunpoint. Literally, she's making them do things they're not supposed to. Now, we know that the president is the chairman of NRM and is the epitome of power when it comes to the NRM party. Now, what if the president says, Kadagga, I don't want you going back to the speakership race? Now, will she defy the president and still stand in her speakership race, or will she listen to the president and stand down? Because here's the thing, Rebecca Kadagga has been in parliament since 2011, right? In 2016, they sat in a central executive meeting and decided that Rebecca Kadagga will sit for 10 years like Sekandi. When she gets out,
but she didn't consent to it.
Who told you she didn't consent?
She didn't. According to what I read, she did not accept that.
But here's the thing, whether she accepted it or not, once you're in an entity, it's like me coming to STV and saying, I'm part of STV, but I'm not following the rules and regulations in STV. But I will be an employee at STV. Does that make sense?
It doesn't, Latifa. But now this, politics is kind of funny. If you have a right to, to any position you want, I don't think you can be limited. If they can really, from the NRM, before she goes to parliament, if they can do some kind of vetting or voting as the NRM, and then they come out with one candidate, I think it would make sense. But just telling someone to, to just withdraw and calm down, I don't think it can really work in this situation.
There's an argument. Now imagine if Sekandi had said, I'm not stepping down as the Speaker of Parliament. It depends
on your ambitions, Latifa.
Where would Rebecca Kadagga be? Would she even be the Speaker of Parliament now?
It's about fairness? Is it about fairness?
It's more than fairness. It's more than fairness. Because here's the thing. Like I said earlier, if there are rules in a company and you decide to join the company, you've got to follow the rules. Now, Rebecca Kadagga is putting NRM at a spot where the world is waiting to see whether they're going to keep their word or they're not going to keep their word. Now, we know that NRM is in support of Kadagga because they also know how much support Kadagga has. Now, what is going to happen is that if Kadagga insists that she wants to stand in the speakership bid, even after Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is the chairman of NRM, tells her to step down, she might have to do it as an independent candidate. But remember, she went through as a candidate in Kamuli on the NRM ticket. So how is that conversation going to take place? Because we know the president called both of them yesterday on Monday. He called Rebecca Kadagga and he called Olanya, and according to the results that we received from the State House and what they discussed, President Museveni asked Rebecca Kadagga to think about taking the vice president position that was given to Sekandi after he was speaker for 10 years, and then Rebecca Kadagga didn't seem satisfied with that suggestion. She says no.
She spoke to journalists even before going to for the meeting. She said, "I'm not going to accept the VP position. I'm not going to accept," even before the meeting. So right now, we don't know what came, from the meeting. But what I know is, it's just plain to see. Of course, they have to come to a consensus with Oulanya, and then the president has to be there in the middle and speak to them. But I don't think, if someone speaks so strongly before they go, and Oulanya wants to be speaker, and then Kadagga doesn't want to go away. So I don't know, and if she comes as an independent Latifa, so what we should be discussing, can she go through?
She can't go as an independent.
Really?
Why I'm saying she can't go as an independent is because in Kamuli, she stood under the NRM ticket. So how is it that in the speakership bid, she needs to stand as an independent? See, the thing is, Ruth Nakabira was also the other person who was trying to convince Kadagga, woman to woman. I was talking to Kadagga. Kadagga, listen to me. Yes, Kadagga, listen to me, the chief whip. Kadagga, listen to me. Can you just be the vice president? Now, here's the thing. When we're looking at positioning, okay, Kadagga has done it all, yes? And there's no other position right now in Uganda unless presidency that Kadagga can go to and we say, okay, she has been there and she has surpassed her position as the Speaker of Parliament. I mean, are you seeing any position, Adam?
Her argument was kind of valid. For me, if she's to be a VP, then it's like she's retiring from politics.
No, it's not retiring. Being an ambassador is more of a retirement position. However, being a vice president is... Here's the thing about being the vice president. Samia Suluhu was the vice president of Tanzania. And then she would give decisions and learn from John Pombe Magufuli.
Really.
I'm not talking about John Pombe Magufuli's death. That's a totally different platform. I'm not even going there. I'm talking about Samia Suluhu as the vice president and the roles she played as she was going behind
what happens after that, Latifa? So after 10 years elapsed, Rebecca Kadagga is vice president. So what happens next?
She becomes the vice president, and then later we take her to an ambassadorial position. Because here's the thing, you cannot die as a politician. When people are talking about Museveni has stayed in power for long, Kadagga is how do they say it?
But it's 10 years, Latifa. There are MPs that have stayed there for 20 years.
Kadagga is reciprocating what people are preaching against. Staying in power for too long and not wanting to step down. Are you telling me that Kadagga is the only person who can sit in that position and do a good job? Then why is it that other people are not given chance to sit in that position? Fine. Uganda is a democratic country, right? And that means we'll have to vote. That means members of parliament will have to vote. And that means that people will have to be the deciding factor between Rebecca
really
Kadagga
makes the point,
and the other
Latifa.
candidates.
It shouldn't be about choosing. Now you come, let's put this. It shouldn't be about choosing. It should be about, who people want, who the MPs want to be in parliament.
I will repeat it. If the vice president had refused, the vice president now had refused to step away from the seat 10 years ago, Rebecca Kadagga would not have been the Speaker of Parliament, and we would not have seen the amazing things that she can do, the amazing power of Rebecca Kadagga as the Speaker of Parliament. So here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Rebecca Kadagga should stand down, but I'm waiting to see, what I'm eagerly waiting to see is the decision that the Central Executive Committee of NRM will make, because they had made a promise not only to Kadagga but to Oulanya and the people who support Oulanya in the NRM caucus. Now everybody is seated and waiting to see if they will keep their word. The same thing happened with Sodo and Kutesa, Charities Kutesa in Magola. What happened was the two of them were both NRM, and the two of them were close to people in the NRM. One was the brother to the president, and the other one was a daughter to Kutesa. Now we're looking at a position where they were both struggling, and NRM had to choose someone. The first election went through, and then they sent the NRM chairman, the NRM Electoral Commission chairman. They were going to go and deal with this issue. Even when he did, the results came back and they were being questioned. Now, as I'm speaking, I read recently in the papers that Charities results are being taken to court and they're being questioned. How long are we going to keep doing that in the NRM party? The problem is they didn't make a decision. Now they had to sit with Sodo and tell him, let's talk about this. Yeah? let her be, and then we'll give you some other position. Now imagine that Sordo does not get the position they had promised him. That only means that he's going to come back and contest against the results that were given to Charity Kutesa. Now, unless decisions are made, there's also a decision that NRM failed to make about the independence. You remember, Adam? When they were supposed to make a decision on whether to actually chase independents from the party or keep them, because according to the party rules, once you go as an independent after losing in the primaries, then you're no longer a party member. But President Museveni went, pulled them on the side, spoke to them, patted their back, told them it's okay, you can be independent, I give you my blessing, I give you my permission. Now, unless NRM takes a stand, okay, they're going to lose the respect they have held for all this time.
And what is the stand, Latifa? Because the SEC is siding with Olanya.
That is what I'm saying. And that is the stand, because they promised Olanya. And that's why Olanya has been patient. There's a time during the change of governments and parliament in the 10 years, Olanya wanted to compete against Kadagga. And they told him, Olanya, calm down. We told you your time is coming. Calm down. So they have been telling Olanya to sit down, even when, if he competed, you never knew his chance of winning or not winning. Now we're looking at a position where Rebecca Kadagga has put everything down, every suggestion that they've given Rebecca Kadagga on the position, ministerial position. Kadagga has refused them because she's wanted to be the Speaker of Parliament. Now, if she loses this bid of speakership, Kadagga is in trouble. And why she's still in trouble even then, we have a number of candidates who are in this competition. A number of them. That means the cake is going to be divided further. She's used to having Rebecca Kadagga and Jacob Olanya. Whoever wins becomes the speaker, whoever doesn't becomes the deputy. We're at a position where there are too many candidates in the game now.
And of course, the deputy speakership also has a lot of candidates from the NRM they have to decide on. There is the Minister for Finance, David Bahati, there is Rakojo, and there's another woman there, I've forgotten the name. So they have to still sit down and decide on those. Though I'm not feeling the pressure from the deputy speakership, but this very post, Latifa, you know, this whole thing of choosing doesn't really sound nice for me, because choosing doesn't really make sense from what kind of perspective are you choosing something, and is it about a party choosing, saying, is it a voting, is it what? And if Rebecca Kadagga refutes it and says, you know, I'm not going to stand down, she has a right to. Yes, she has a right to. And then the thing of choosing, Latifa, doesn't really do it. If they can vote, and I think if they vote, you know, Ugandans, they accept the vote, but when they lose, they still have to come back and challenge us an independent. And
it's going to be the same thing, even if they start an election in NRM to say Olanya or Rebecca Kadagga. Do you think if Rebecca Kadagga loses in the primaries, she will step down? That's also a question to put in hand. So these things are more complex than we think they are. However, like we said, every other day until the speakership position happens in May 20th, I have a feeling this is going to be on the agenda every other time. We're going to have to talk about it and the new updates, because tomorrow now we'll have to come back and analyze the conversation between President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Jacob Olanya, and Speaker Rebecca Kadagga, because we're going to listen to it today, and of course we'll be telling you about it.
But are they listening to Kadagga? What is she saying? Does she want more 5 years?
Is Kadagga listening to them is also a question.
Yeah.
Because there was an agreement, and if you did not agree with it, you should have told them
she's the incumbent,
no.
Latif, and we all know incumbents are strong. She has been in parliament, she has all the experience.
Definitely.
And 10 years is not a very big time, Latif, according to our setting. People have lived for 20 years, 30 and all that.
Magufuli did what he did in 2 terms.
This is
1.5 terms. Latifa. He didn't finish the 2 terms. Stop doing that.
What is happening
Tanzania is a country in East Africa.
What is happening in Tanzania doesn't really apply to Uganda. You have to stay for long to work for the people. That is what Ugandans are showing us.
Well, I hope you're saying
all
that
MPs,
in a sarcastic
the same Ugandans, and all, you know, they are staying in parliament for so long. Yes, 20 years they're in parliament. So 10 years. And, you know, the NRM is trying to make it that a speaker needs to be in the NRM. 10 years, you go off, you become the vice president, we bring another one, you know, you just go off. So I don't see where this leaves the opposition that are so saying we are coming, the DP is bringing on. The
bread is on the table. Whoever eats it faster, eats it the best. and that is what is going to happen.
And do you see a
the
speaker from the
cake
opposition?
is on the table, and the problem that I told you that the opposition is going to face is they're not united. And because most of the independents see the number of members of parliament in that caucus house, the independents are more than the opposition members of parliament. And that only means that if the independents are leaning more towards the NRM party, the opposition are already in a place where they have an issue. So unless they came up and had a coalition in choosing one speaker from the opposition, maybe they would have won. Now, there's really no place for them.
And you know, in this kind of politics, there are people who are strongholds of, for example, there are people who really support Kadagga as a person. And I think we're going to see a problem. I don't think if the party stands with Olanya and people will vote for Olanya, like the members of parliament, because we have seen a lot of, you know, from Busoga, they're supporting Kadagga, from this region, they're saying we are siding with Kadagga. So I don't know how the party is going to make sure that they are going to stand with Olanya if they decide that this is Olanya, and they are going to just vote for him, you know, because the party has decided. We've seen this in Tojikwata Kolatif. It was a very sensitive thing. A lot of NRMs diverted from what probably they discussed in their caucus, and you know, and they said Tojikwatako, and then problems came out. So I think there is a problem there, Latif. It's not by default that if they choose Olanya, they're going to side with him, because there are some people that just don't like him.
It's not about default or no default. It's about keeping your word. I'm the type of person who appreciates
politics doesn't
anyone.
work with
I'm
words,
the type
Latif.
of
There's no keeping word in
I'm
politics.
the type of person who
What?
appreciates anyone who keeps the promise. For me, you're not a man until you can keep your word. Now, here's the thing. NRM made a promise to Jacob Olanya. They need to keep the promise regardless of what the consequences are. It's as easy as that. You make a promise, keep it. You lay a bed, lie on it. You know, you cook food, eat it. I'll go on and on the whole day if we have to do this, but keep your word once you make it. And that's the problem they're facing. They don't want to be seen as hypocrites for failing to make a decision between Jacob and Kadagga, but they know Kadagga has more support than Jacob Olanya. So they're left in the middle, and that's why Ofono Opondo said Rebecca Kadagga has put NRM at a gunpoint. You know, because now they're at a point where they either have to prove themselves to the public, or they will go against their words and people will not take them serious.
So probably they're going to sit Olanya down and tell him, please calm down. What
They
do you
can't.
expect?
They made a promise.
Really?
They made a promise.
So you think people
to
keep
Olanya.
promises?
I think this is what is going to happen. The NRM is going to have to find a way to calm down Kadagga, although I don't see that happening, because Kadagga has been in every media house, in every newspaper, in every radio, in every TV station, saying that she's going to come back as the Speaker of Parliament. Now, Kadagga, what Olanya told Kadagga was that if you're saying you have the support of 300 members of Parliament, why are you campaigning? If you had them, you wouldn't be campaigning. You'd be sitting and relaxing. That means you don't have support, and I will come and we shall compete, and you're telling lies about the fact that I feared to deal with the age limit bill. That is a very big lie, and I do not accept that I feared that bill, and you're the one who has been stifling my bid to be the speaker or even be part of the speakership position. Now, the other thing that is showing weakness on Olanya's side is the fact that when Rebecca Kadagga lost her niece, Rebecca Kadagga went for burial. But Olanya did not chair the station. What he said was that he's respecting Rebecca Kadagga and was making sure that the whole parliament mourns with Rebecca Kadagga. However, some people saw it as a weakness that Olanya could not hold a parliamentary sitting without Rebecca Kadagga. But again, he came up and refuted that claim and said, I have been in this position for 10 years and I can sit and chair this session if I had wanted to. And I'm not sure whether him chairing that session would make him stronger than what he looks right now, or him not chairing the session made him look stronger or weak. I'm trying to figure out that position.
And you know, one of the points that Olanya used to raise, that he was not given chance as the deputy speaker to chair whenever Kadagga was there. So I think these people have been on loggerheads. It's not about just deciding that now we have got into a time of deciding, but as them, their relationship wasn't that good, Latifa. It wasn't that good. So it's not by surprise we are in this kind of situation. Probably if it was another candidate rather than Olanya, probably she would have accept it.
No, she wouldn't. If we're looking at gender equality, gender-based equality, then we're looking at a position where Rebecca Kadagga is now the woman, and then we have to look at how to balance the equation with Olanya. So how do we present a gender equality discussion for Olanya? Because now, see, gender equality is usually for women, but because Rebecca Kadagga has taken the mantle, now we have to put Jacob Olanya in the discussion of gender equality because he's the one who is in trouble now, and Rebecca Kadagga seems to be putting on the trousers at this moment. And that is the discussion about the speakership process. We'll be having it every other day because now that is the agenda that has been set, and until the competition comes, that agenda will continue. FDC officially said we're bringing a candidate, NUP said we're bringing a candidate, DP said we're bringing a candidate, and we're waiting to see who the NUP candidate will be. Meanwhile, President Robert Chagulanyi, the president of NUP, is out of the country, and NUP has confirmed that he got out of the country on official duty. Now we're waiting when he comes back what his decision would be, because we thought by endorsing Rebecca Kadagga, the NUP party would support her, but looks like it's not what is happening.
That is politics in Uganda, Latifa. And we saw the MPs, Kaziwe, the NUP, Joe Senyonyi was represented, they were there, and then, you know, we took it to be like, hey man, they are supporting this. But me, I was skeptical because political parties in Uganda, Latifa, we all know, they just don't really work by default that this is where we are siding from. People think different. You saw what happened, the numbers. You saw what happened, Nabila Nagai Sempola. She wasn't supported in the central, but yet she was the one who stood on the NUP ticket. And then instead they supported Lukwago, the numbers, they supported Lukwago and the rest. The people they know. So it's not by default that what the party has decided is what we are going to go with. People depend on individuals and, you know, where they've come from, what they have done, and what's really, how do they really look, and, you know, what happened. So I really see a very big problem. And what do you make of that, the NUP saying, now we are going to sit in court? Is it a bandwagon people are just jumping on to get relevance, or really, where are they just lashing out, you know, on the speakership race, which hasn't been the case in the past?
You know, like I told you, Uganda opened their eyes and showed them that this can be done. But that is what we had for you, of course, on the speakership position and on the speakership race that will be going on for a very long time. And of course, we'll be updating you. So until May 20th, this conversation will be on the timeline and on the tagline, and you'll read about it and you'll listen to it, and there will be updates every other day. Now, for you who is in your bed, like Adam told you earlier, it's raining outside, it's drizzling outside. Ensure that you come out with a raincoat or an umbrella or a boot so that you're not soaked wet, for you who's going to take a boat out of town. Now, for you who's driving, you should know that the weather itself is not good, and when it's raining, people tend to drive slower, and there's a lot of traffic jam, because even the police guys, the traffic guys, will not be able to stand on the roadside to deal with the traffic. So there will be a mess in town. You better leave early so that you get to work on time. Now,